Back to cinema, and we're going to talk Materialists. Now, this is a film that yes, that I saw it in a previous screening yesterday, and this stars, I said, Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal. This is directed by Celine Song, whose last film was Past Lives, which I think Sean reviewed it before I got to see it, and he said, great film. I saw it and I was like, oh my god, yeah, that's a 5-star masterpiece. So I was looking out for whatever this woman was going to do next. I was like, yeah, I want to see what this woman does next. And what she has done, she has gone for, because Past Lives is almost this sort of like aching thing about lost lives that you could have had, and maybe if you didn't move country and all that kind of stuff, and it ends up being like this really heart-rending, complicated love triangle at the center of that film. This film is essentially, it's a rom-com, but it's a rom-com with a lot on its mind. So it's kind of like, you know how people talk about rom-coms and then sometimes people think, oh, rom-coms, that's like, a terrible film, or it's rom-com equals terrible film. And a bit like what we were talking about spoofs earlier, how you had spoofs and after a while spoofs got like, they got sullied, so to say, by so many bad ones. And I think we had that with rom-coms. But then you have things like When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle, or whenever Meg Ryan decides to make a rom-com, which seems to elevate themselves to like a higher level. And I think at this, they're big words, but it is in that upper level of rom-com. Because this is a film that there are at least 3 speeches. There's a very famous speech from When Harry Met Sally in When Harry Met Sally, that when he's talking about all the reasons why I love you, where Billy Crystal's talking to Meg Ryan and saying all the reasons why I love you. And there are three speeches of which I think in this film that are at that level for me of just observation and talking about all these different things. I think is great. So you meet Dakota Johnson. I keep being careful not to call her Dakota Fanning. You meet Dakota Johnson, and she plays a character called Lucy, and she works in this high class matchmaking firm in New York. So and her whole idea is like people pay a lot of money and they come in with a lot of demands. Like if you see the trailer for this, the trailer just starts off with client after client making their demands of who they want to meet. Must be 6'2", cannot be shorter than 6'2", must earn $200,000 a year, must work in finance, blah 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 blah, must come from money. All that, and the film is very clever at going about what you have what the men are looking for, what the women are looking for, because a lot of the people who are looking for, it's heterosexual couples trying to find somebody else. And like there's this whole bit where there's this guy saying, I want to meet somebody who's a little bit more mature, because I think my last 2 girlfriends, one of them was 21, one of them was 24, and I think that they just couldn't get what I was on about. I want someone who's a bit more mature. And she goes, oh great, we got a lovely person for you, she's 39. He's like, whoa. I said more mature, I didn't say ancient. She's like, okay, cool. We got someone who's 31. It's like, hey, no. 27. I want somebody 27. But you saying you want somebody more mature? Yeah, 27. and it's things like that.
How old is he?
He was 40 something.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, and so. Yeah, and the thing is, I think this is something, right, that I would love Holly to watch, because I think that it's almost sort of like aimed for Holly. Lives in a big city. What's the dating scene like? For somebody like me who's been out of the dating scene for a while, it's almost like is that what it's like? Oh my God, everybody's just so entitled. And it's about her walking around trying to deal with all these entitled clients. But when she goes to at the beginning, the 9th wedding that has come from her introducing people, she's attending the wedding, and even at the wedding, there's people coming to her going, "You're the one who made this happen. Oh my God, I so need you." And it's like recruitment and all that. And then she meets Pedro Pascal, who is the brother of the groom, and something happens there. But at the same time, Chris Evans is working there. He's a former boyfriend who's like a struggling actor who is working there, working the tables and everything, and she meets him there. And so the film comes up with a typical, once again, Celine Song love triangle. Is she going to go for the is she going to go for the person who she shares a lot with but is broke, and she can't stand that because in her mind, her non-negotiables and her partner is rich, and nice to have is filthy rich. Or is she going to go for the rich guy who has a $12 million apartment in Manhattan, and that like money is like nothing to him? And so it comes up with that. As I said, it is a rom-com. It ends in a wedding, but not in a very. And I will try and leave you in suspense as to who the wedding is to or who the wedding is within.
Right.
But I thought this was very, very good. I thought that the way it talks about relationships, the way it talks, it's very grown up about the reasons why people do certain things and why, and also about how you might have, like, the romantic ideal on your mind, but then there's also the fact of, but the bills have to be paid. And how do you take that whole thing? How do you marry a romantic idea where you're thinking about it's all about love to, hang on, love might not be enough because you actually have to live in New York. How the heck are you going to do that? And I think that it does that really well. The conversations are brilliant. I think the performances are brilliant. And there are there are funny bits. Let me just put it, there's funny bits about the lengths that people will go to find a partner that make me really, really glad that Claudia said yes when I asked her to marry me, and that I don't have to deal with this anymore. Honestly, because it does make it look like it's a jungle out there. It's great, and it's a great film. I would give it a 4 out of 5, and I would recommend that when it comes to cinemas, you guys go watch it. And I think Sean, because you always talk about the final scene of past lives. And you kind of go, because, and for you can see that you're like, that totally makes sense. I can understand that would be a dilemma, that kind of thing will happen. I think that there's many dilemmas that happen throughout this film that you would like.
Oh, right.
But
I'll make a point of seeing that. I think I see it was released today. I would have probably gone and seen this if before,
Yep.
but I think it's been, or I saw it. I think it's released today at Cineworld. So
all right, cool. Yeah, go grab it, because as good as I think it is, I'm not sure how long it'll be around.